Story, as expected, is the incident with Joe Ajaero. As the Punch reports, Ajaero's arrest saga. DSS succumbs to pressure as NLC plans showdown. Labour leader released ahead of NLC's 12 midnight ultimatum. PDP, Labour Party, others lampoon federal government over arrest and invasion. So we're going to be looking at that particular story this morning. The body of the story tells us that the Department of State Service has granted administrative bail to the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. He was released a few minutes before the 12 midnight ultimatum issued by the organized Labour pro-democracy activist and presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, Omoyele Sowore, announced his release in a tweet on Monday night. The People's Democratic Party and the New Nigeria People's Party, as well as the Social Democratic Party on Monday, criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration following the arrest of Joe Ajaero, the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, and the raid on the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project's Abuja office by the Department of State Services. Fouad, on Monday, Joe Ajaero, yesterday, he was arrested at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. He was on his way to the United Kingdom for the Trade Congress that would begin today, I believe. He has been released though, but it's the reaction that trailed his arrest. Remember that he has been accused of terrorism, financing, subversion, amongst many other things, and he honored the invitation of the security service. Now, what happens after that, we're unaware, or the arrangement that they had with him after the initial invitation, we're unaware until we heard of his arrest and he's now released. Mind you, the DSS did raid the office of Serap a few nights ago, and now there are conversations around the activities of the security forces, the arbitrary arrest of individuals without justifiable cause. First of all, Fouad, what is your perspective on the initial arrest of Joe Ajaero, and also our security agencies? Are they following the principles of human rights in their operations?
Well, Sage, we are in delicate times. And I say we're in delicate times because we're beginning to see some sort of reenactment of the intimidation, the harassment, the gagging of public dissent that prevailed during the dark days of the military era. I say dark days because those were days where people had to resort to other means to ventilate their opposition to what was considered an illegitimate government. And so they faced all manner of harassment, arrest, intimidation, detention, and all manner of things, really, to silence the voice of opposition. And so it is troubling, no matter how troubling the era was during the military, it is even more troubling that we are now seeing a repeat or a repetition of what was considered unfortunate during the military era in what is supposed to be a democratic system of government. Sage, it is even more worrying that it is happening under the government of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who, up till today, is still regarded as a pro-democracy, quote-unquote, activist because of his past involvement with NADECO, and everything that, of course, he did, fighting to return democracy to Nigeria. Joe Ajaero has been released on administrative bail. The NLC, TUEC, and the entire organized labor had mobilized for a showdown with the federal government. On how Joe Ajaero was arrested at Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja. And basically, what they were saying was that, look, you had invited him before, you honored your invitation. There's a second invitation that's supposed to happen this September. Here is a man that has not gone into ID. He has always responded, to your invitation. He had an engagement in the United Kingdom only for you to pick him up at the airport like a common criminal, whisk him away. Although the DSS has issued a statement saying that, look, there are still cases around him, and basically was for national security reasons, he could not be allowed to travel. After a few hours of detention and maybe some questioning, he was eventually released on administrative bail. The papers are saying that, look, they actually cowered to pressure because the organized labor had mobilized effectively for a showdown with the government on this particular arrest, which they consider as intimidation and harassment of labor leadership in Nigeria. That's number one. While we were still dealing with all of that stage, the report came in. I think it was on X handle of Serap, a civil society organization that has done a fantastic job and has continued to do a very, very good job, really, in holding governments to account in public policy analysis and engagement. I can tell you that there's probably no civil society organization in Nigeria now that has done what Serap has done for Nigeria in terms of getting our minds into critical issues of governance and nation building. That, look, at the Abuja office, there are two DSS officials, or officials of the DSS, basically, who have stormed their offices, harassing workers and questioning them about their directors and the leadership of Serap. They considered it also a form of intimidation because, according to the leadership of Serap, I've forgotten the name of the young man, who also spoke with the media yesterday, they didn't get any letter of invitation. The leadership is not a leadership that people don't know. Their names are out there. Their locations are out there. All the activities are there in the public domain. These are even individuals who have gone to court several. They are always going to court. So the civil society organization is not new to security agencies. Neither is their activities hidden from anybody that wants to question what they've been doing. And so they just thought it was a form of harassment and intimidation. Also, there was some sort of an official release from the DSS saying that, look, it was unarmed two officials of the DSS that had just gone in there, for normal routine operations. What routine operations means, I really don't know. But Sage, there's a lot that has been said already. A lot has been analyzed already. Leaders of thought have also expressed their opinions as to where we found ourselves. I think it's just one of those opinions on this matter I want to read out. One of our respected one of our respected leaders of thought posted something on social media. I think it was on his Facebook page. And please just permit me to dig it up to read it out to our listeners this morning, Sage.
Okay.
Just very important so that we understand what we're dealing with here. Mr. Richard Akinola too is very, very popular on social media. And he made these two posts on Facebook back to back yesterday. And I think it's just important that we give our listeners the privilege to also enjoy from his wisdom. These are parents who have seen it all. He said, some of you may be too young to relate with this. He's talking about what is going on with Ajaero's arrest and the storming of the Serap office by DSS officials. He said, some of you may be too young to relate with this. During the Buhari junta in 1985, the house of Chief Obafemi Awolowo was raided by soldiers, and there was a lot of hoopla over it. It later turned out that fifth columnists within his government were behind it to further make General Buhari look bad, particularly for a government whose popularity was at its nadir due to its abuse of human rights. A similar scenario may be playing out with the current onslaught against Serap and NLC. A government that is fighting a serious image crisis due to the current economic situation cannot be digging deeper into infamy. We shall overcome. Very important. A government that is fighting a serious image crisis due to the current economic situation cannot be digging deeper into infamy. We shall overcome. A second post by Mr. Richard Akinola too. He said, DSS operatives invade Serap's office. Buhari, a former military general, didn't do it. But the government of a supposed pro-democrat welcome to Abatanization of democracy. Sage, like I said, a lot has been said. And I think leaders of thought, opinion leaders, well-meaning Nigerians, have also expressed their opinions and worry as to what is currently going on in a very cherished democracy under the leadership of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's very unfortunate, say, No matter what anybody thinks, no matter whatever position you take, no matter how you try to rationalize it or paraphrase it, it's unfortunate. You know, we are still talking about protesters being arraigned in court and charged for treason. See, and some of us are like, is this happening under this democracy, under the president that we know, that we used to know? Has something gone wrong? Again, you have said that, oh, maybe the new leadership of the DSS just wants to act to show some level of force, impress the president, and that's why they are doing all of this. Hey, say, I think the leadership of the DSS and generally security operatives should try to impress the president more by going after terrorists, bandits, kidnappers who are troubling Nigerians in the northern part of the country and indeed other parts of the country. Just imagine they are able to rein in these terrorists, these marauders, bring them to book, arrest them. I think that should be their focus, if indeed they are just trying to impress the president now that he newly got in the job. But to begin to go after civil society organization leaders, intimidate the NLC, look, if Joe Ajero has any case to answer related to terrorism financing, oh, he should be brought to book. Nobody is defending him and saying he should not be brought to book if he has done anything against the state in terms of subversion, an attempt to overthrow the government illegally. But it should be done within the whims and caprices of the law. It should be done with respect for the rule of law. And I conclude on this matter, say, unless there are other questions, to say that, look, there is no functional democracy without what I consider 5 levels of active participation when it comes to checks and balances. Officially, they will tell you it's 3. They tell you the executive, they tell you the legislature, and the judiciary. But you know what, say? In fact, it's supposed to be 5. And I think it has been, reshaped to say that, look, at the level of the executive, one would expect that the legislature should serve as a form of checks and balances. But over the years, we've seen democracies where the legislature has colluded with the executive to fail democracy when it comes to the area of checks and balances. So it is very possible to have a colluding legislature that would fail when it comes to the issue of checks and balances. We have also seen democracies in the world where the judiciary.
Hello. We apologize for the interruption. We will connect with Fuad in just a few minutes and continue with conversations. Join us on our social media platform on Facebook and YouTube, where we're currently streaming the program live. Mainland 98.3 FM is how you find us, and you can actually start dropping your submissions in real time so we can read them when we finally open the phone lines and our other channels of feedback later in the day. We're having conversations about the arrest of Joe Ajero, the NLC president, and also the conversations or the controversy surrounding the arrest. The question really is, this particular arrest, does it support the principles of human rights? Are you allowed to arrest individuals without explanation, without some form of invitation, or at least tell us why? Make the information public as to why you're arresting individuals or raiding the headquarters of civil organizations like SERAP, and an incident that happened a few nights ago where SERAP Secretariat, the one in Abuja, I believe, was raided. So now there's conversations about the arrest, the process of invitation, the process of interrogation and questioning. What exactly is the end game here? There's also conversations about the charges that are even leveled against these individuals, the severity of the charges. Are there any proof to support these charges that you have leveled against these individuals? But then again, we're not security operatives, and it's up to them to provide us with the information that they have in which they were able to reach the conclusions that they have reached regarding these individuals. Fuad?
Yes, I'm with you.
Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go on ahead, please.
So, like I was saying, in what is considered the principle of checks and balances, we've had situations in different democracies in the world where the legislature failed in that regard by, working hand in hand with the executive to subvert that essential ingredient of a democratic state when it comes to checks and balances. We've also seen complicit judiciary, that works in cahoots with the executive legislature to also fail when it comes to, checks and balances. That's why the media, the fourth estate of the realm, is very important. So if those 3 levels fail, that should not fail. And that's why it's also important to continue to protect the free media, to continue to ventilate and hold and speak truth to power. Say, so So that's why it's called the fourth estate of the realm. Whereas there's the fifth level. And the fifth level, I put it together. That is an active organized labor and civil society organization. See? And that's why it is very important for us to condemn what we are saying now. This harassment and intimidation of organized labor, no matter what you think of the leadership of Joe Ajaero, it is important that we speak against any form of intimidation and harassment of organized labor, because Joe Ajaero is not going to be the NLC president for life. But whatever happens, intimidation of organized labor will live beyond Joe Ajaero, and so we must condemn it now. The same thing with civil society organization. Whether you like it or not, SARAP has done a fantastic job. So people say they don't win cases. They don't have to win cases. But they get us thinking about those issues. They open up the conversation. They get you thinking. Set the agenda for you. If you are sleeping, wake up from your slumber. This is what is happening in the country. And so we must protect and continue to encourage SARAP and speak against anything that will look as a form of intimidation of the civil society organization. If we don't do that, we have failed as a democratic state, and we can never have a functional democracy. We have to protect this democracy with everything we've got, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Fuad. That particular report is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Moving on to other stories, the Punch reports fuel landing cost rises. Marketers fear high Dangote petrol price. There's one rider, the refinery may bid down PMS price. Queues reduce as depots supply products. Well, the story tells us that oil marketers are concerned about the delay in announcing the price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, being produced by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery, as they noted that the landing cost imported PMS is now about 1,120 naira to a litre. Dealers stated that a high PMS price from the Dangote refinery would lead to importation of the commodity by marketers, since the government has opened up the market for competition. In July this year, we actually got information. The major energies marketers had told us that the landing cost was around 1,170 naira, and as at that time, the pump price was around 600 to 700, really depending on the region. And now that there's been an increase in the landing cost of PMS, is now about 1,120 naira to a litre. The marketers are afraid that we might see a significant increment in the pump price of the commodity, and they are referencing the delay in the pricing of Dangote's product. I'm talking PMS specifically. But then again, they are getting some sort of relief from the fact that if Dangote doesn't give a price that they find to be sustainable, they might as well just engage their foreign partners and import the product. So it's really the price of NNPC, Dangote's price, and the price that is being offered by their foreign partners, whichever they find to be cheaper and sustainable, that is the one they would go for. Which still takes us back to the conversation of Dangote's insistence, the refinery's insistence that the NNPC has to work with them as an off-taker of the product. Why not make the product readily available for the public? As the NNPC has said, you can buy from Dangote directly if you like. But then Dangote, according to the report, is the one who's insisting that the NNPC has to be their major off-taker, and he's still waiting for FEC to determine the price of the commodity. So far, that is the confusion we have on our hands this time, and we might continue to import the product, as Dangote's price might not be as reduced as many marketers had thought it would be.
Well, this is a level of confusion that I think the intention to confuse Nigerians about what is happening in the oil sector has been achieved. I think it was a form of, it was a deliberate plan, very intentional, cause this artificial scarcity, get them worried, get them desperate, make that happen before the official release of PMS from Dangote refinery. So when the product is about to hit the market, they get confused about pricing, they get confused about landing costs, they get confused about cost of production, or get Dangote to a point where he's also confused about what to do about his pricing. And so it's all deliberate. It's really all deliberate, because again, people are asking questions. Dangote is telling us officially the PMS from his facility is ready, but it's not yet in the market. That's the official statement from Dangote refinery.
Right. Yes.
But have you noticed that, look, the scarcity is going down bit by bit?
Yes.
The product is so, it means that importation has started. So we need to ask ourselves, why is the NNPCL dragging on getting product from Dangote refinery and still very happy about bringing the product from abroad? So, of course, the answer is so easy. Maintain status quo, continue to import. Why has it gotten to a point where Dangote, after producing diesel from that facility, producing Jet A1, going out there to, give out his prices without any issues, actually gotten to a point where PMS is ready, name your prices, he doesn't know what to say. He's now waiting for the NNPCL to be the sole off-taker or waiting for Fed to push his price. And then for the marketers too. Some of their statements get us a bit more confused, really. Because this idea of marketers saying, oh, they'll go and get the product from outside, it is cheaper. Look, a lot of them already have licenses. It's not been, at least in the last 2 or 3 years, they've not been able to bring in a liter of PMS into this country because there's a problem with forex, access to forex. And that has limited the whole states, really, to NNPCL being the sole importer of the product because of this issue of forex. Even the NNPCL that have done it solely for how many years now, told you that, look, they are still owing about $6.8 billion. So if the NNPCL with its capacity to earn forex and import the product to run into trouble to the point of owing almost $7 billion, which marketer will be able to operate in that kind of state? So this whole lie, or illusion that the market has been completely deregulated, it's just mere paperwork. In reality, there are structural issues that need to be addressed before you can effectively and efficiently deregulate this sector. We they know. The operators, the regulators know what we are talking about. And that's why I think the marketers should refrain from making statements that they'll go and import from anywhere. They don't have the capacity to import anything. Where would they get the forex from? At what price would they be selling? You understand? To keep them in business. So they understand this bottleneck and these structural issues, and I think they should be careful with making statements that will begin to get the Nigerians more confused about what we have. This is a problem for the government to quickly fix. And the buck stops at the desk of the president, who doubles as Minister of Petroleum Products. Mr. of what's it called? Mr. of Petroleum. He needs to step in immediately. Look at what Dangote is saying. Look at what the NNPCL is saying. Look, we can continue to speak all of the grammar in the world. You know what Nigerians are looking for, say, at the end of the day. Let the product be available, and let it be available at a reasonable price. A price that speaks to the reality of Nigerians in terms of this multidimensional poverty they are facing. That's what Nigerians are demanding for. All of the back and forth to the ordinary Nigerian out there is not necessary. What they have voted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do for them is to fix the problem by making the product available consistently. This intermittent shortages, scarcity is what Nigerians don't want. That's why they voted for it. And it's not just to make the product available, make it available at a reasonable price. He said it at the campaign ground, say, he was talking about petrol and petroleum products. So that's what the people that voted for him are waiting for. So the shenanigans of the NNPCL or the inconsistencies of the Dangote refinery does not matter again. What matters now is the mandate given by the people to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to fix the problem. And Nigerians are waiting on him. His supporters are waiting on him. Those that voted for him are waiting on him to step in and fix the problem now.
Well, a source at the Dangote refinery who pled anonymity says that Dangote refinery will supply locally. At what cost, they do not know yet. And he says, and I quote, he says that we have high quality PMS for the country. Some people who are importing fuel and some owners of refineries and blending plants in foreign countries do not want this to happen. Their $117 billion shipping business to West Africa is at stake. An indication that there are saboteurs within the oil sector that still want us to maintain status quo of oil importation. They don't want domestic refining and supply. So Fuad, all of this, one thing we can extract is that supply would not be a problem. The product would be available. The issue would be the affordability of the commodity. It would be available, but the pricing is what the problem would be. It might not be cheaper. So I guess we just have to wait for Dangote's price and then compare it. That would force the prices to go down if truly market forces are the one at play here.
For now, there are no market forces. So we've talked about that severally. What you just have is subversion of the entire process, corruption, and all lies. There's no market forces because, yes, in the books, they continue to refer to the PIA. In principles, yes, it looks like it's completely deregulated. In practice, there's no deregulation anywhere. So that's why we're saying that this idea of market forces is just all pure lies, really. But again, it's like the source that has now been quoted in the papers, or named source, saying that there are saboteurs, there's a cabal that wants us to continue to import these products, they have blending plants, blah, 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 all over the world. Sorry, say, who has the capacity to fight this cabal? Who is the person, one Nigeria now, that has the capacity to dismantle whatever struggle these cabals are put in place?
The president.
Do you know that one Nigerian that can do it?
The president can.
That's the president! So whether they are saboteurs, yes, in every system you always find fifth columnists, you always find saboteurs who don't want things to work for their own benefit. But that's why people vote for people. You see, the mandate of the people is not to just go about saying you are the president or you are the governor. People vote for people to go in there to solve their problem. It now becomes a problem when the people that are voted for to solve people's problem becomes the problem that the people now have to solve. So you can only talk about these cabals. They've always existed. This is almost 25 years that we shut down the refinery. 25 years more than that none of the refineries have worked. Turnaround maintenance have continued to fail. Yes, the cabals have been spoken about. Even Dangote talked about that there are people who own blending plants in Malta and other places who are hell-bent on ensuring that we are not able to produce these products locally. But the only one Nigeria that has the capacity, that has everything, that has state apparatus and control to fight and kill the activities of this cabal is the president. And that's why I go back to saying that, look, the president should please do his job. Nigerians voted for him to fix the problem. He has to fix the problem.
This story is on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. It trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, 10 minutes past 8. We're still live on Facebook and on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. We're reviewing the Punch newspaper and having conversations about the stories on the front page. My name is Sage Babalola. Fouad is also with us virtually, providing analysis to the stories that we're addressing this morning on trends in the papers. Well, speaking about the rule of law, still on the front page of the Punch, we have AGF plans to abolish pardon for convicted looters. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi-San, has said those found guilty of corruption should not be granted state pardon. Fagbemi, who also advised law enforcement agencies against shoddy investigation, tasked them to have their facts before summoning anyone for questioning. In a statement by the Special Assistant to the President on Communication and Publicity, Office of the AGF, Kamaruddin Ogundele, on Monday, the AGF stressed that the cooperation of everyone was needed in the fight against corruption. Fouad, a few years ago, we saw a former President Muhammadu Buhari that was pardoning ex-governors that were convicted for for corruption, health, age, whatever the reason was. And now we have an AGF that is saying we are rendering the law a toothless dog. If the security agencies work really hard, we have the legal luminaries. Everyone who intends to be corrupt within government would always have at the back of their mind that there is something of a fail-safe. They might still enjoy the privilege of a state pardon. And so he's saying they should not enjoy state pardon. If you're found guilty, you should serve the term.
Very unfortunate situation that happened under the Buhari government. We can never forget AGF Malami and all of the shenanigans that happened under him as AGF. In fact, there are people who have rated him as the worst AGF ever. That's AGF Malami and all of the things that happened.
Hello. I think think we have another glitch. We sincerely apologize. Technology can be extremely unpredictable. But whilst we're still trying to reconnect with Fuad, well, this particular story is more or less a question about the rule of law and the administration of law. Just like we said, why exactly should we have security agencies do their job, arrest individuals, put together evidence, they're tried in the court of law, and then at the end of the day, after serving a quarter of their sentence, be released back into the world and be allowed to enjoy privileges, be surrounded by the people that they apparently duped of their resources? That's the question we're asking at this time. Fuad?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you okay? So, very unfortunate, after close to 100 cases against governors in Nigeria and other corrupt politicians, we were able to eventually get two governors, convicted, and sent to jail. Pastor Jolly Yame of Taraba State and Joshua Jari of Plateau State. Like I said, after several cases against governors, top politicians, that was just a rare occasion where eventually we got two of them sent to jail. And then I don't think they started up to even a year or two before they were pardoned. And it was also very unfortunate because it happened under a Buhari that people are taught at zero tolerance to corruption. Of course, we can't forget the Malami, all of the shenanigans that happened under him, too many cases and controversies and what have you. So if Mr. Lateef Fagbemi say, the new AGF is saying that, look, will never happen again, I think we have to support him, and I agree with him. Because again, it now erodes the confidence of the people in the process that, even if they are convicted, they will still be pardoned. Even though there are Nigerians who even believe that, look, these powerful men, look at what is it called now? Where is the white lion now? We have not been able to find it. And that's why people are worried that it's even hiding. Because a lot of them have gone to the EFCC, they've gone to court, their cases are still pending. There are no resolutions or closures to those cases. So I agree with Mr. Fagbemi if we can, work within our laws to ensure that, look, if eventually we get people sentenced for corruption, especially political office holders, they should not enjoy state pardon of any kind.
Well, the AGF is also tasking the security operatives to stop carrying out shoddy investigation. Here's the thing, Fuad. A lot of lawyers are able to take advantage of the loopholes in the investigative process of these security agencies. For example, if you obtain evidence by means of torture or by means of an illegal search, it is inadmissible in the court of law, or you don't investigate properly, their lawyers can very well state an abuse of their human rights privilege and you just lose the entire case. So before you go knock down anybody's door, be sure that you have enough evidence to convict them in the rule of law so they don't walk at court. In courts, nobody cares whether or not you think they're guilty or not. It's based on who has credible evidence to support their arguments. That's what happens in court. So the security agencies themselves, what?
Of course, I agree that the process of investigation and prosecution needs to get better, because a lot of times people have said that, look, sometimes they already put these cases up, and then when it comes to prosecution, because he who alleges must prove, say, he who alleges must prove. That's what the law says. And so you come up with all of these allegations to substantiate it with evidence, and admissible fact becomes a problem. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, and look, we are talking about politicians who have money to hire the best legal mind.
Yes.
They're not going to hire judge and be lawyers. So they will go for the best. Some of them have. If you look at the legal team of a governor, a governor starting trial for corruption sometimes, you have up to 10 SAN representing him in court. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. The
best lawyers. And so, if you have a prosecution that is faulty, if you have a prosecution that is not strong, these lawyers are going to mess you up in court because these are people who understand the law better than even the person prosecuting the case or investigating the case. So, I agree, but again, Mr. Fagbemi also has to look at the law. Because some of these lawyers too take advantage of technicality, some of the loopholes in our laws, to also get some of these people out of the hook. So it has to be a holistic approach, really, to fighting corruption. People have talked about special courts. Now, can we come up with special courts and all of that? But again, at the end of the day, corruption is a big problem. We have to do something more methodical about fighting it.
All right, well, that's that about that particular story. You can find more information on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Other headlines on the front page of the Punch: Enugu Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom lead as Mpox spreads to 21 states. We still have the incidence of Mpox in a few states. Is on page 27. 21 states.
That's monkeypox.
Yes, monkeypox. Well, it's a new strain. Monkeypox and Mpox are somewhat different. The strain, really. Yes, the strains are different. But then Enugu, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom lead as Mpox spreads to 21 states. So we're still dealing with that just after slightly recovering from the cholera outbreak. So please,
I'm sure what are the symptoms? Because again, Mpox, monkeypox. Maybe we look at the symptoms in one of our health shows.
I did bring an expert to talk about Mpox a few weeks ago, but then we can still reiterate it since it's still prevalent. Page 7 of the Punch, and you can listen to the health program on Fridays by 10:15 to 11. We'll bring up the conversation a second time. It's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. We also have here: gunmen kill Anambra businessman after 10 million naira ransom, dumps corpse in gutter. For evidence that insecurity might not be abating anytime soon. And it's ridiculous. Before, once they get the ransom, they let the people go. But now they take the ransom and then they still kill the victims, which makes no sense to me. Why exactly have we now become this? Or why is this the new reality of Nigerians, Fuad?
One of the most dangerous things about a kidnap situation is that the victim could be killed eventually, depending on who has carried out the act. Maybe the abductee eventually knows the person that did the whole thing. You see situations like that where they collect ransom and still kill the victim. Yes, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even make sense to kidnap anybody in the first place. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But again, when these crimes are committed, it comes with that dangerous tendency of the victim losing his or her life. There'll be consistent reports of people paying ransom and the victim being killed or murdered by these kidnappers, because in fact sometimes the person is already dead before they collect the money. But they will not tell you. They will not tell the family. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes the person is dead long time ago, maybe out of ailment or something. But because they still want to get the money, they keep pretending that the person is alive. Collect the money and they just move. So that's why it's important that whatever needs to be done to stop this scourge of kidnapping, our security operators do it. And these are the jobs I think DSS should focus on. If you understand what I'm saying, these are more important issues for the DSS for you to chew on, for the security operatives, the police, to look at really. The intelligence community should look at this prevalent case of kidnapping across the country. Nigerians are losing their lives almost on a daily basis to these kidnappers. You understand what I'm saying? There's a particular authority disturbing people in the north now. The DSS should go after him. Those are the things I think the president will be impressed about, or should impress the president, or the DSS people should be doing to think of impressing if indeed what they are doing now is to impress the president. There are serious cases to handle. In fact, Nigerians will celebrate them. If we begin to get that the figures of kidnapping has gone down drastically, if we begin to see reports that these guys who are disturbing Nigerians in the north, fucking community. There's a report, I think, in the Vanguard newspaper, where some terrorists have gone to a village somewhere, I think in Kaduna or Katsina, and have kidnapped medical officials.
Yeah, the doctors, the patients, they killed 7
people. They even kidnap patients.
Yes.
Even kidnap patients, what do you want to do with it? These are sick people. That's the job the DSS should be looking at, the intelligence community. They have a serious work to do, really. It should not be about setup.
Well, because of our time, we might not be able to dig further into that story, but it's on page 4 of the Punch newspaper if you'd like more information. We have 4 billion naira illegal arms. Lawyers absent, stalls suspect arraignment. Actually, 10 individuals have been arraigned in court for charges of weapons importation via the Onne port from Turkey.
You remember the illegal weapons now?
Yes. So the trial was supposed to commence, but they had to postpone adjourn. That's the right word. The trial because about 3 of them did not. No, they said no, right? And now.
No, but wait, that's it. I saw that part of the story. Like,
I didn't understand.
They are doing on you. The man who just graduated from the law school. It's been everywhere. We are doing a very good job as a civil society, or as a social rights activist. You know, you can never fault at the effort and the contribution of the doing. But he graduated recently as a lawyer, and he's been very busy in different courts. So he said he was there with one other person for a different case. And they saw the other, they will represent you for free. They said no. And let me tell you, people standing charges for that level of crime will want to get a very good lawyer to represent them. That's what came to my mind. Not in the doing.
Well, the case has been adjourned at this time. And then also
September 21 or so.
Of course. And also I think we need to pay a lot of attention of the products coming in from Turkey specifically, because all of the cases of weapons importation that we've seen in the papers is always from Turkey. The merchandise is always coming in from Turkey. So I think we need to take advantage of whatever bilateral relationship we have with Turkey to have a conversation. Why is it that people are moving weapons from your country into Nigeria via the on-air port? Is also something I think we need to start looking into at this time. But the story,
the customs recently issued a statement saying that they're going to double up their efforts at the on-air port. There seems to be a problem with that port when it comes to illegal arms importation into the country, importation of illegal arms into the country. But I also think that, look, we can say all of these weapons are coming from Turkey. But again, when it comes to things like this, there's a black market for it globally.
Yes.
So, yes, it's coming from Turkey, but I don't think it's going to be an official. So most likely there's a black market for weapons that people have discovered in Turkey, and basically they're taking advantage. I think what we need to do is to ensure that our own borders are not porous to the point where these things are able to get it. So that's the major issue for me. Because you speak with the Turkish government, they'll tell you, even in the US, there's a black market for weapons all over the world. The Middle East, you get what you want if you need it.
It's on page 3 of the Punch newspaper. And finally, on page 19 for Punch, we have telecom service risk disruption as 800 workers begin a strike. Well, we might see disruption in telecommunication services because 800 workers are deciding to go on strike if their demands are not met. Well, they're more like subcontractors. That's who they are. And the strike will begin on Monday. And the union's demand includes, among other things, reinstatement of some of its sacked workers, recognition of the union, improved working condition, remittances of membership dues, etc., etc. And they said this has gone on for way too long, and maybe a disruption will force those that are responsible for all of this to immediately drop in these telecommunication agencies, but they would be affected because their own base stations with their fiber infrastructure is directly linked to this union. So let's hope they're able to solve this issue so at least we have internet connection. That's the last thing we need right now, not having internet with everything we're going through. Anyways, that's all we have for Punch.
The telecoms operators are also complaining about high tariffs, about high overhead, and the fact that they need to increase their tariffs to be able to meet the operational cost. Even though NEC you say no, it should not happen. The telecoms, the NCC, is saying that will never happen. But whatever it is, there's a problem somewhere with the telecom sector. And like you just said, the least we are expecting is any form of disruption in that sector. Let's see whether the unions and the operators will be able to resolve their issue. They have to actually resolve their issue.
Right.
That's what we're hoping for.
All right, then. Our Guardian newspaper, majority of the stories have been addressed earlier. The labor security agencies in deadlock over Ajero's arrest, harassment. We also have here, bandits invade hospital, kidnap nurses, patients, kill 7. AGF move to stop state pardon for indicted politicians. Niger tanker explosion death toll rises to 59. We also have here, 2027, Labour Party strips Obi Oti of automatic ticket. Fuad, earlier we had been told that the Labour Party were automatically granting the ticket to Peter Obi and reserving the ticket. Well, they have reneged on that privilege that they gave to Peter Obi and Alex Otin, and they're throwing it open for anyone who's interested. So is this a good thing for the Labour Party? I mean, allow everybody an opportunity to compete.
The Labour Party, I used to think that the PDP has a bigger problem. But I now know that the problem of the Labour Party is far, 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 far bigger than the problem of the PDP. So as you speak now, the party is divided into 3. You have Peter Obi and Alex Oti, who have chosen former Minister of Finance, Nnamdi Usman, to coordinate the new activities of the party in terms of choosing new leaders for new leadership for the party. You have Julius Abure, who is also saying, in fact, I think the next statement is going to issue now is to expel these people from the party. But what they have said now is that, look, whatever they are doing is illegal, and that, look, before they had reserved their ticket for the party, but now anybody can come and fight for the ticket of the party now. If you want to become president, not a Peter Obi thing again, just come and take the party. And there's also a third person, I forgot his name now, something Okota or something, who also has a court injunction, claiming to be the leader of the party. So it's a party, it's a house completely divided against itself. But again, you look at Mr. Julius Akuri, what do you really want to achieve? But if you understand how delicate politics is, you understand that, look, there are people who pretend to be working for the interest of the party, but indeed, what they want to achieve is to kill the party and tear the party apart. My mind tells me that there's more to this issue of the crisis we have in the Labour Party. I think there are fifth colonies who have come into it and taken advantage of all of these divisions. It's really very unfortunate where the Labour Party has found itself. It's just what it is.
This is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have here, flood killed 24, destroys 7.8 billion naira properties in Bauchi. Very, very unfortunate. The flooding incident is wreaking havoc on states across the Federation. It's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have here, tensions as soldiers invade Okwama community again. Despite the fact that the security agencies have been called out of Okwama community after the clash between security agencies and the people, once again we have soldiers returning to that community, obviously to maintain peace, but because of the volatility of the relationship of the people with the security agencies, tensions are rising once again.
On the edge.
Yes, well, we might not be able to analyze the story any further because of time, but you can check it on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have here, food prices spike amid government's delay of value-added tax hike. So there were conversations, right, that we might see an increase in VAT to 10%, a notion that has continued to be denied by those in government. But then we had Dr. Reuben Abati, according to the report, saying that Buhari is right now in Daura laughing at us because of the state of the economy at this time. Dr. Reuben Abati was the former senior advisor on media and publicity to former President Goodluck Jonathan, right? He's a journalist.
How does he know Buhari?
And
How does he know Buhari is in Daura?
He made the statement. He said Buhari now in Daura mocking us because of the economic situation.
He did meet the former president, and now you saw him laughing and mocking again. I guess it's just, but again, it's really very unfortunate because there are people who have said that, look, no matter what we had thought was the failure of the Buhari government, if anything was going to come out worse than that, and it's going to be crazy. And that's what people are saying now. That Buhari was seen as, quote unquote, a monumental failure in terms of all of the things he did and the expectations of Nigeria. But what we are saying now,
well, we're out of time, really. We might not be able to take any more headlines, but we'll be back in a few minutes to go on ahead to Mainland Focus, where you can be a part of the conversation. I'm Sage Babalola Fuad will also be joining us for that segment of the Morning Express. Don't go anywhere.